meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator at this time. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay for the meeting and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and the town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet at the front of the room at the table. Those wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is, after the application is read, their applicant, their agent, or representative will have an opportunity to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the board. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the board's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a brief rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone at the front of the room, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. I ask that all testimony be kept brief, no more than 5 minutes, and to the point. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals shall be heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information is available from the clerk of court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. Now I introduce the rest of the board. To my left are Larry Tim, John Benz, Mark Schumacher, George Wilson. My name is Roger Wagner. Terry Dopp-Hoekstad, zoning administrators at my right. First variance to be heard tonight, Ronald and Mary Lynn Catt, Joint Revocable Trust, Wautoma, Wisconsin, made an application for a variance in accordance with section 58-826, paragraph B of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 26 by 24 detached garage coming to within 18 feet of the right-of-way and 35 feet of the center line of Cree Avenue, 30 feet to the right-of-way and 63 feet to the center setback required in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreland area. Location, a parcel of land known as Lot 11 of Deer Ridge Subdivision, Hills Lake lots, being part of the northwest one quarter, the southeast one quarter, Section 8, Town of Marion, Hills Lake, N 1846 Cree Avenue. Would you come forward, please? State your name for the record.
Ronald Cott.
Okay. Anything you'd like to tell us at this time, Ron, that maybe make a brief summary of what you told us on site there? And
just that when you were there, I had two possibilities outlined, the four corners of where the garage would be, and really preferred the outline that not only needed a variance to the center line of the road, but in fact would require a variance to the lot line setback. And I had the builder that I'm proposing to use come out and look at the site with me, and in fact he felt that the alternate location with the variance to the lot line setback would be more suitable not only for building but also for me in terms of entrance and exit to the garage, because it would be set on a slight angle which would help the way the road curves past the property. I guess there weren't any questions at the on-site inspection that I'm aware of, other than Terry did bring up, I think, the drainage from the roof potential gutters or a gravel trough along the one side.
Do you have the setback dimensions that you would prefer? It was 3.5 feet from the lot line, wasn't it?
Yes, that's correct. That would be the maximum encroachment that I would need. And when we lay out finally lay it out to put the cement floor in, we'll have it exact. But at this point, I don't see any reason it would go beyond 4 feet into it or 3.5 feet from the lot line.
And what was the dimension from the road then with tipping that?
We gained about 2 feet. It would make it roughly 37 as best I can tell.
Okay. That was your preferred location?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just a few general questions then for the record. Has there been a recent survey, and are you sure of the lot lines?
Yes. There was a survey done in January, I believe it was.
Okay.
December. The survey was done with regard to splitting the lot that we own jointly in half and annexing it onto each property.
Okay. Like you said, you added a portion of the lot to the north. It was kind of an irregular line though, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yes, the object was to divide the property equally by square feet. And we took the midpoint at the high water mark and we ran that to a point which was 7.5 feet from the existing garage so that there didn't have to be a variance for the other property. And then we ran it parallel to the front of the garage at 7.5 feet, and then on a diagonal to the lot comes to kind of a point where the two roads meet. We ran it on a diagonal back to that point.
Do you know offhand, does the road actually lie in the middle of the right-of-way?
No. The roadway itself, the hard roadway, the pavement, runs, I'm going to say, about 7.5 feet closer to my property, or where I would build a garage, than what was platted originally. Right in the bend.
Mm-hmm.
They made the bend a little wider than what was platted.
And you've talked to your neighbors and the township about this project?
I have, yes. And I've also talked to our Lake District president.
And I think we have a letter on file maybe or something from the neighboring landowner there.
There should be letters from comments from about 5 of the neighbors, I believe.
And what type of foundation? Just a concrete slab?
Yes.
And about how far above grade will the first floor be? You're not going to bring
Well,
in all...
we're intending to put in an oversized garage door, which would make it 8 feet. Plus
You're not going to put in a lot of fill, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no. The slab, how far above grade? Just enough to make sure the rainwater and other water doesn't come in.
Sure. And finished height, you thought was going to be about 18 to 20 feet?
I think we talked about 18 feet when you were there, and I felt I would be within the 18 feet.
Okay. And have you given any thought on how you're going to deal with stormwater runoff from the garage and possibly erosion?
Well, I hadn't. There had been on a previous application we made back in about '02 the idea of eaves, and I think you call it a dry well or some buried rock. And Terry suggested an approach that she said she had used, where you dig a trough along the side where the hill is, and I believe you put landscape fiber and gravel aggregate in there, and the water would run directly in there. If that's acceptable, that seems like maybe the best solution.
Any other improvements planned at this time?
No?
Garage doors will face away or
Garage doors will face to the south.
And you'll have adequate parking there, right?
Yes. There will be parking, not only area, I think as my sketch showed, for getting in and easily backing out and getting onto the road without backing onto the road.
Correct. Do you know where the sewer lateral is there, or this won't interfere with anything, will it?
No, the sewer lateral is on almost our south lot line. The grinder is on the south side of the house.
What hardships and unique property limitations would support the variance? That's the only place you got for garages.
That's about it. You're right. That's about it. And with the added half lot, it really gave us the opportunity to have a garage, which we really would appreciate having.
And if an approval were granted, what are you looking at construction sometime this year yet, or?
Oh, yes. I've already been in contact with the builder, and he has me down. I told him sometime, if it's approved, it would be sometime after today. So if it's a positive approval, positive response, then I would get in touch with him, and whenever he has time on his schedule, we'd get going.
Okay. Any other committee questions?
You mentioned when we visited the property that the exterior of the garage is going to match the outside of your home.
Yes, it's. I'm not sure at this time whether we will use the builder's supplier of siding and match it. He feels he can match it, or if we will actually go to the supplier who supplied the siding for my house. That's still to be decided, but in either way, the color will be a good match.
And then the other thing is, of course, one of the arguments for the variance is the very steep slopes there.
Yes.
And the limited space you have that's level that would be suitable for a garage. And of course, that brings up the question, which we know, but I'm going to ask anyway, you're not going to disturb any of that vegetation or steep slope between the garage site and the water?
No, that would be the, I guess, the advantage of positioning it the way I've chosen.
Agreed.
Okay.
I'm looking at this plat of survey that I see for the first time tonight, and it shows on it something called an unimproved platted road. Is that public, private? Is it been properly abandoned? What's the status of that?
My understanding is that was platted years ago, and as long as we've been coming up here, which is since about 1965, the roads are the way they are today with Cree Avenue and Deer Ridge. The road that was shown on there, it really, I don't know why it's on there yet. I guess someone just didn't take it off.
Are there procedures to properly abandon a road? I was just wondering if that has ever taken place.
Doesn't look like it was. Crew probably wouldn't have had it on there.
If it wouldn't, the surveyor wouldn't have picked it up if it didn't exist.
Okay, who would normally move to abandon that? Is that something a property owner would do, or the county?
I would say the town probably is the one that.
The town?
Nobody ever travels over it or anything. It's
Well, there is no road there. It's a phantom road.
right.
It's not been developed, but once it's put on a map,
Yep.
it has to be properly removed.
Well, and I'm thinking that the property to the north of me might even be on part of that road. I'm not sure, but it's possible. Well, I guess whatever the measures are.
It doesn't show the neighbor's garage on that road, so maybe it wouldn't even affect it, but.
If it's something that I would have to initiate or should initiate, I can do that. I don't know how to do it at this time, but if it's something I should do and there's paperwork to submit, that can be done.
Well, it looks to me like the location of the proposed garage is not going to interfere with that platted road location regardless, but, it might be something that if you have neighborhood meetings or something, or a lake association meeting, it seems like there's many other property owners that are affected by this, and maybe cooperatively, you could talk to the township or something.
Okay.
It might be something that, although it isn't gonna interfere with this garage, the way I see it, if you or your neighbors ever sell your property and there's some sort of title search or something like this, it might cloud the sale of your property, so it might be in your best interest to kind of look at it at a later date.
Okay.
Probably something to take up with the Lake District.
Yeah, Terry, do you have any other suggestions?
No, that was what I was going to suggest too. And I would be a lot more concerned about it if we were asking to build
In it.
in it, but
And
we're
you're
not, so.
So that's,
Okay.
it's kind of a moot issue. It's just something for your own personal benefit. You might want to file away and check on at a later date. But I think that's a good catch, Larry. That was,
But don't we have to be concerned with setbacks from it too, if it's in the?
They're going to be much more than 7.5 feet from it,
Yeah,
so.
probably will be, but I mean, it's something, I mean, setbacks apply even if the road hasn't been built.
Right. This doesn't actually show it as a separate piece of property, which I find kind of odd too. So maybe Pat didn't exactly know the status of it. It's just still showing up, but would be something that probably should be followed up on. But it's not going to interfere with our this construction project, or, you know, setbacks aren't an issue from it either.
I would guess that it was platted in there, and then Deer Ridge Road was put in instead, and it just wasn't ever removed.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Any correspondence?
Yes, we received a letter from the adjacent neighbor when Ron made the application back earlier in June, the most affected neighbor, and I'll read that first, and then we received a follow-up on July 16th. And it's addressed to the Waushara County Land Conservation and Zoning Department. It says, "We are the property owners adjacent to the area where Mr. Cott wants to build a garage. He has discussed his plans with us and has explained the possible encroachment into the 7.5-foot setback zone next to our common lot line. We do not object and will accept the zoning board's decision regarding the allowable encroachment. This encroachment will not create a hardship for us." And that was signed by Mr. and Mrs. Kevin O'Connell. And on July 16th, I got a copy of an email sent to Ron that says, "This email confirms that we have agreed to allow the 4-foot encroachment on our property for your garage." So again, signed by Kevin and Jill O'Connell. On July 15th, we received a letter from James and Dorothy Algiers, Algiers. Nope, we just got this one, July 15th.
Okay, what was the name then?
James and Dorothy Algiers, Algiers. It's addressed to Roger Wagner. "Dear Sir, we are landowners on Little Hills Lake at 1882 North Deer Ridge Court, within 150 feet of the applied-for variance requested by Ronald and Mary Lynn Cott. My wife and I are unable to attend the published hearing on variance application for Lot 11 of Deer Ridge subdivision. Therefore, we send this letter in support of the application by the Cotts for variance. The Cotts are year-round residents of the lake. They own and maintain one of the most attractive pieces of property on the lake, and the variance would enable them to house their cars in an attractive, well-maintained garage structure on their property. I believe the variance will be to the benefit of the Cotts and will not be a hindrance in any manner to the area. It will enhance the functionality of the well-maintained property without hindrance or influence to traffic. As neighboring property owners, we stand in support of the request for variance." And then another one that you should have in your packet that was received when you made the application is from Carrie Keller, addressed to the Land Conservation and Zoning Department. "I am a property owner within 300 feet of where Mr. Cott wants to build a garage. He has discussed his plans with me. I do not object and will accept the zoning board's decision regarding the variance." And that's from Carrie Keller. Does say he's the next door neighbor, and 1838 Cree Avenue. And exactly the same letter. "I'm a property owner within 300 feet to the Washara County Land Conservation and Zoning Department was also signed by Ronald Harbach, N. 1835 Cree Avenue. And another one, same letter, was signed by Bill Pucin, P-U-C-I-N, N. 1829 Cree Avenue. And that's it for correspondence.
No one registered to speak in favor or objecting. Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the pertinent data for this application. They did visit the property and viewed the proposal on site and saw the conditions that were in place out there. I'd like to explain a little bit about variances. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons. These include unnecessary hardship is being caused by the code requirement. There are unique limitations on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standard. And finally, if the variance is granted, that no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. It is the applicant's responsibility to present the case and provide the burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted and why it meets the three standards that I mentioned before. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, or nearby violations cannot be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. When the board visited the property, they noted that the traffic on Cree appears to be relatively light and the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. They also noted that stormwater runoff should be considered when constructing on the edge of such a steep slope. And that's it for my comments.
Okay, that closes the public hearing for tonight. If there's no more questions or comments, we will close the public hearing and go right into our business meeting for tonight.